Yeah, good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, good afternoon. So, so today we are going to cover experimentation number, I think 9. So today I'm going to cover two experiments, but basically this falls under the category of only one thing, that is permeability. I guess this part has already been covered in the soil mechanics. Can you please confirm me?
Now it is going on, sir.
Okay, now it's going on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. So no issue. So let me start. Today I'm going to cover two parts. One is how to determine the permeability by constant head method, and the part two is variable head method. So I will give a detailed explanation about what is meant of constant head, what is the meaning of variable head. But fundamentally, from the headings itself, you should understand. By now, you must be aware of what do you mean by head. Head means what is the total depth of water that is maintained or stagnated on a soil mass. So this is called as a head. Okay. Now here there are two other terminology. Head is a constant and head is a variable. So these are the two things. In one case, the level of the water is maintained constant throughout the experimentation. That is called as a constant. I will demonstrate a schematic of this. What is the meaning of constant and variable? In case of variable head means the water level maintained on top of the soil is variable. It's not a constant. Now a simple question arises. Why there should be two different variety of tests to determine the same single permeability? So usually constant head is required for coarse grained soils where the pore aperture is bigger. Okay, the variable head is required where the pore aperture size is smaller. So don't try to relate the permeability with the wide ratio as of now, because it is a contrasting opinion. If you look the fine grained soils and coarse grained soils, wide ratio of fine grained soils is higher and coarse grained soils is lower. But the permeability is completely opposite to it. The permeability is low in case of the fine grained soils, although wide ratio is higher, and permeability is significantly high in case of the coarse grained soils, although the wide ratio is less. So here, if you try to relate the permeability with the wide ratio, you may get the contrasting opinion. Rather, you should correlate it with the aperture size. Aperture size. That means what is the size of the pore? In case of the fine grained soil, the pore size is in nanometers, while in case of the coarse grained soil, the pore size in millimeters. Now, for you, it is easy to understand in terms of the millimeter. Water easily permeates through it. And when the pore size is lesser, that is in terms of the nanometer, then it requires tremendous effort to for the water to permeate through it. So, but what is the obvious consequence of water permeating slowly and water permeating fast? So when the water is permeating fast, so the amount of water that seeps through that particular soil is, the voluminous is high. While in the case where the pore sizes are very smaller, the volume of the water that permeates is bit less. The basic fundamentals about the permeability. So here today we talk about how to determine the coefficient of permeability or the permeability of the given soil sample by constant head or variable head method. So as I told, so as a generous, you should understand that the constant head method is valid for coarse grained soil where the size of the pores are bigger in terms of the millimeter, and variable head is valid for fine grained soils where the pore aperture size is small in terms of the nanometer. Now you have to understand what is the meaning of a permeability. Permeability is a basic characteristic of any soil. It is one of the engineering properties of a soil. So basically there is another terminology. So in parallel to permeability you must be hearing, that is seepage. There is a seepage, there is a permeability. Permeability is an intrinsic property of a material, while seepage is voluminous property. It is not an intrinsic property of a given material or a soil. So I will repeat, the permeability is the intrinsic or characteristic of a given soil sample, while seepage is not neither intrinsic neither nor characteristic of a soil. So the seepage is related to the how much volume of water passing through a soil sample, while permeability means it is able to allow the water to permeate through it. So this is permeability. The ability of the soil allowing the water is called as a permeability, but how much amount of water that is passing through the soil sequence of permeability and seepage is, or if you try to ask what is the relevance or the importance of these two, when water is passing through the soil mass, so it has to also tend and pass through voids, as you can see here. So these dark lines indicates flow paths through the soil sample. However, one intricate thing that we need to understand. First of all, the soil mass, there should be a continuity in the pores. As you can see from this picture, there are three variety of pores has been shown. So these are continuous or throat pores. So these are pore, and there is another kind of pore that is called as a iso. Water can permeate when there is a connectivity of the pores that is represented by throat pores or cross-linked pores. Water can permeate or seepage can happen only when there are isolated pores. If it is an isolated pore, by no means water can able to enter it because there is no connectivity. Yeah. वहाँ पे दे देना. हाँ. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. So as you can understand, water can able to pass or permeate through the soil sample only when the pores are interconnected as shown in this picture. If the pores are isolated or dead end, water cannot able to permeate as shown here. So permeability is a property of the porous material which permits passage of fluids through interconnecting conditions. If there is no interconnected pores, so there is no permeability. So the passage of water through porous material is called as a seepage. Now there's another distinction between the permeability and the seepage is the seepage can cause damage to the structure. When there is a seepage, the seepage can develop some kind of a pressure within the soil sample. So the permeability is the cause, seepage is the effect. So it is the effect that causes damage to the structure. So that's why when you are reading about the seepage pressure, there is no something called as a permeability which is developing a pressure. It is only the seepage that is causing a pressure, and this seepage pressure is very dangerous. So most of the earthen dams can fail only because of the buildup of the seepage pressure. Now this is simple experimentation that is developed by Darcy way back in 1850 or somewhere. So who analytically try to derive a relationship between the discharge versus velocity. Now this is the simple experimentation that he has conducted. So this is soil sample. On one side water level has been maintained, and another side, so the water level has difference between the water level on upstream side and downstream side is called as a head, delta H. Delta H is nothing but the head, which is defined as the difference in water level between upstream and downstream side of the soil sample. Now here, as for the Darcy, so he found that the velocity with directly proportional to head loss, that is head, delta H by L. That is the water head that you maintained and along the length of the soil sample. Along the length of the soil sample. So Darcy's contribution is only, he told the velocity is directly proportional to delta H by L. So there is another terminology also. So when the water is permeating through the soil sample, so the velocity may be constant, may not be constant, and there is something called as a head loss. This you must have heard of. So that head loss will be determined with respect to a particular datum, as you can see here. So this is the length of the sample, and this is the water head that you maintained, and this is called as a hydraulic gradient. So that is H inlet minus H outlet by the length of the sample. So this is called as a, the delta H by L is called as a hydraulic. When you calculate any permeability, we always has to take some line as a reference line. That is called as a datum head. That is called as a datum head. Now this datum head has a significance when you talk about the Bernoulli's equation. So in the Bernoulli's equation, you have a three terms. One of the term is the datum head. So from the Darcy's law,
Sir,
one can able to determine. Yeah.
excuse me, sir. Sir, you are
Yeah.
sharing
Tell
any
me.
slide, sir? Sir, we
No,
are
you are
not
not
able to
seeing any
see.
slide.
Now it is, we are seeing, sir. Before a second, we are seeing the aim slide, that only, sir.
Oh, so
And voice
don't know.
also sometimes it is breaking, sir. Not able to hear properly, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so as for the Darcy, the discharge, that is Q, discharge per unit time, is proportional to, or in fact is proportional to delta H by L into area. Delta H by L into area. While when you equate discharge with delta H by L into A, so a constant is introduced. That constant is called as a permeability. That constant is called as a permeability, or it is also called as a Darcy's coefficient of permeability. So this is the is nothing but permeability times head hydraulic gradient delta H by L multiplied by area. Multiplied by area. So the delta H by L is in general designated with a terminology called as a I, hydraulic gradient. So this is the coefficient of permeability, which is already defined in the previous slide. So the permeability through the soil is a function of several things. But one of the fundamental thing is it is a function of the wire ratio that can influence the permeability. So as listed in this slide, for example, the density of the soil, wide ratio, shape and arrangement of the soil particles, then fluid properties like viscosity, unit weight of the fluids, all these both soil properties as well as the fluid properties can affect. Okay, so some typical the permeability values of some soils has been given in this table. If you look at carefully, clean gravel can allow the 100 centimeter per second. So this is significantly high permeability value. Coarse sand 12.01 centimeter per second, fine sand 0.012 to 0.001, silty 0.0012 0.1 into 10 power minus 5 centimeter per second, and clay it is less than 1 into 10 power minus 6 centimeter per second. Now you may ask a question, why different soils has a different permeability values? So this can be linked to the size of the void, For a clear understanding, I have shown different pictures here. Sand, as you can see from this picture, the void size is too large. So water can easily permeate through the bigger pore sizes. Silt, so as compared with the sand, the pore size is much lesser. So there is a possibility of the water stagnation during the precipitation time. Clay, the pore size is much bigger, much smaller, maybe nanometer size. So it is called as a less permeable. So the permeability is always in. Okay, so as shown here, so sand can able it allows easy permeation of the water. Loam in between, clay, so it is almost impermeable. It's not impermeable, but less permeable. Now there is also something called as viscosity. Depending, the viscosity can affect the permeability. So usually more viscous liquids have a less permeability, because as the viscosity increases, these viscous liquids can develop high capillary action. So at the pore size level. So more is the capillary action, less is the permeability. Because when water has to pass through the soil sample, somehow it has to overcome the capillary action also. So these are some real life practical importances or usefulness of a permeability. So the permeability has a tremendous applications in civil engineering. Whatever the kind of the structure that you take, everywhere it is only the permeability that either causes the damage or either causes the distress of the structure. So if that may fail is because of the high permeability or high seepage. And the seepage or the permeability can happen in both horizontal direction as well as in vertical direction. And interestingly, the permeability as a distinction in horizontal direction is somewhat bigger than the permeability in the vertical direction. So this has something to do with the number of layers of the soil profile also. When it is permeating in the vertical number of layers, thereby the permeability is different of different layers. While when it is permeating in the horizontal direction, the permeation might confine to only the particular. So for example, you can look at here. So there are 1 layer, 2 layer, 3rd layer, 4th layer, 5th layer, and 6th layer. So each layer as it. So more is the permeability, more is the seepage. And the seepage of more than certain amount is not allowed. It's not permeated. If the seepage exceeds, it causes a phenomenon called as a piping. So this piping causes failure of earthen dams. So permeability is also one of the root cause for the distress of the many roads. If you especially travel along the hilly roads, if there is no proper drainage system, we can see a lot of distress of the roads because of the presence of the water. So the knowledge of the permeability is useful in several of the problems. It is not only the earthen dams, roads, earthen dams. So everywhere, all geotechnical structures, it requires the determination of the permeability. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. So there are two variety of tests that I told. One is constant head, next is falling head. So if you look at, so these are the schematics of the coarse grained soil. This is silt and this is fine grained soil. As you can see, the so we can go for constant head method since the permeability is very low in case of the fine grained soils. So we can go for the falling head test method. So here also it is shown the constant head method 4 centimeter per second. The falling head test is mainly used for less permeable soils. So that is clay type of soils having a permeability less than 10 power minus 4 centimeter per second. As you can see here, so how the pore size is small in case of the fine grained soils. Introduction about the constant head method and the variable head method. The major distinction between the constant head is in case of the constant, therefore the permeability equation to determine the coefficient of permeability is K is equals to Q into L by A into delta H, where cross-sectional area of the sample and delta H is height maintained. Since delta H is constant, we can, and remaining all things are constant. Length of the sample is constant, a cross-sectional area is constant, and we can determine the discharge. We can determine the discharge. to determine the capital Q, that is discharge. For a given delta H value, I can able to determine the capital Q, that is discharge through this soil sample. While the variable head means the delta H is not remain same. The delta H is not remain same. Suppose if I determine with respect to a particular time, what should be the discharge, then I can able to calculate the K value. But here, with respect to time, I should note it down what is the change in height. So for example, initially the height is H1, then finally the height is H2. Into delta H. This is called as a variable head. The decrease in height is called as a variable head. Always in the case of constant head method, while that is not the case in case of the variable head method. H1 and H2 so as a function of the time. So therefore, so the permeability also should be function of the variable head as well as the time. So as you can see in this equation, the permeability in case of the variable head determined using the equation of 2.3 AL divided by AT log base 10 H1 minus H2. What is the decrease in height as a function of the head? Where small a is the cross-sectional area of the standpipe. Capital A is cross-sectional area of the soil sample. L is length of the soil sample. T is time required to decline height from H1 to H2. So this is the constant head permeability setup. So there is a permeameter, there is a filter paper, there is a compaction device, there is a measuring duct. So this is the water reservoir, this is sample holder or the mold, and this is the indicator, how much decrease in the height. Now the permeability test can be conducted on two variety of the soil samples. One is undisturbed soil, it is directly grabbed from the field, so without disturbing it. While there is another sample that is disturbed soil sample. When you collect any sample in disturbed form, it will be brought to the laboratory, then compacted in a mold. While for undisturbed soil, such is not required. No compaction, nothing. The sample is directly grabbed from the field. So when you conduct any permeability test on undisturbed soil sample, the sample is directly extruded. Now how to extrude the soil sample? First, you have to make a borehole. You have to make a borehole at a particular depth. You have to extract the soil sample. You can extract any number of soil sample at the desired depth, depending upon your interest. So extrude the soil sample with the help of the borehole, and the extruded soil sample normally stored in these PVC tubes and sealed. So when sealed, this is done in case of the field. Will be opened using the extruder. Then the extruded sample is fed into the permeability device. Fed into the permeability device. So these are the small steps. First, you make a borehole. So using the sampler, collect the soil sample, pack it in a PVC tube, bring it to the laboratory. So remove all packings like a polythene sheets or polythene cover, wax coating, whatever kind of arrangement that has been taken care. So that is protective measures in the field. Then all those things to extrude the soil sample from the PVC tube, and the extruded soil sample is fed into the permeability mold directly. While the second procedure is how to prepare the soil sample in case of the disturbed soil sample. So here in this case, we approximately take 2.5 kg of the dry soil sample. Now usually the permeability test can be conducted for different density and for different water content. So you try to choose a particular density and particular water content. The soil thoroughly as shown in this picture and compact the same thing in the permeameter. So during the compaction, we can resort to the standard Proctor compaction or the modified Proctor compaction or any other kind of a device that is available at the time of the compaction. So compact the same soil into the compaction mold. Now, so if it is a sandy soil, we don't need to compact it. We can simply densify with the help of the vibration or something. But if it's a fine grained soil, you need a compaction. So this is how the soil sample will be prepared in case of disturbed soil sample. Now, once the soil sample is ready, so as you can see here, so this is the soil sample. So this soil sample is connected to the water reservoir from the bottom, and it is allowed to permeate from bottom to the top, not to the top to the bottom. Always remember. So when you do any kind of a permeability test, the inlet is always connected at the bottom, not at the top. So if you connect at the bottom, so all filled. Okay, but if you feed the inlet at the top, there is a possibility of, because of the gravity, there is a possibility of the formation of the preferential force, especially between the mold and the soil sample. So this is most danger. So this can give wrong results of the permeability. So therefore, in order to avoid the preferential flow, so we always connect the inlet from the bottom, not from the top. So when you connect the inlet, so this is the head, the water head is maintained. So the head is nothing but top of the water level to the top of the soil sample, top of the soil sample. So because of this head difference, water permeates through the soil sample, and whatever the water that is permeating will be collected in the cylindrical jar. Now, in case of the constant head, so the amount of permeability is so high in a given amount, high volume of the water. So for a given time, say 30 seconds or 1 minute, you try to collect the volume of the water. So volume divided by time will give you the discharge. So this is basic definition. Volume of the water in a given time, because the units of discharge is centimeter cube per second or millimeter cube per second or meter cube per second. So volume of the water collected divided by the time, that will give you the discharge.
Sir, sir, here that the height of the outlet is fixed or we can change it.
No, it is fixed. The
Sir,
height
then
of the
if we,
outlet is
sir,
fixed.
then if we change L, then the permeability will change.
If we change the L, the permeability will change, but that is nullified in the equation. Na? You look at this equation. See, this is the equation. The permeability is nothing but Q into L divided by A into delta H.
Yes, sir. If we change the L, then the permeability will be changed, no, sir.
True. Okay. So in case of the constant
Sir,
head method,
your voice is breaking, sir. I cannot listen.
in case of the constant head method, here if you look at this slide carefully, the H is always maintained constant throughout the experimentation. Under such a constant head, how much volume of water in a given time t passing through the soil sample having a length L. Determine the discharge. Q is nothing but V divided by T. V divided by T. So this is basic funda. So, and since it is passing through certain cross-sectional area and passing through certain length of the soil sample, so anyhow, your permeability is also a function of the discharge, length of the sample, cross-sectional area, and H. So this is what. Now, once I know the volume, I can able to determine the discharge. So here discharge is known. So I can rearrange this equation. So since only unknown in this equation is K. So since only unknown is K. So K is nothing but discharge divided by hydraulic head multiplied by area. Hydraulic head multiplied by area. Now, usually when you conduct any permeability test, we should conduct for a different heads, different hydraulic heads. So, and take the average value. Constant, cross-sectional area is constant. The permeability is an intrinsic property. This cannot change when you change the height of the water, that is hydraulic head. So therefore, usually the permeability constant head is normally done for 3 different values of the head. For 3 different values of the head. And the average of these 3 shall be considered as the coefficient of permeability of that particular soil sample. So this is specific gravity 2.65, diameter of the soil sample is 6.35 centimeter, thickness of the soil sample L 127 millimeter, mass of the soil sample taken is 500.3 grams, volume of the mold or volume of the soil, so 997458 cubic meter, cross-sectional area of the mold is 7854 square millimeter. Then this is the data recorded. So here if you look at carefully, a constant hydraulic head of 300 centimeter is maintained, and for different intervals of time, so the volume of the water is collected. The volume of the water is collected, as you can see, 150 seconds head constant, volume of the water collected is, sorry, discharge is, the quantity collected is 32,400. So in 300 second, it is 66,000. In 450 second, 96,300 cubic millimeter. Now there is something called as the specific discharge, which is nothing but Q by T. Q by T. Sorry, oh, this is discharge only. Sorry, this is discharge. So volume divided by time. Volume divided by time. So that will give you the specific discharge. Once discharge is known, I know substitute everything into that equation, then calculate the coefficient of permeability. So permeability is usually always designated as centimeter per second, but not millimeter or meter. It's always represented in centimeter per second. So please make a note of this one. Okay. So once I know the volume of the soil sample, I know the weight of the soil sample, for what kind of density we have determined the permeability, so can be calculated. So here the head is maintained constant, and for 3 different timings, while the same thing can be repeated for 3 different heads, what is the permeability value? What is the permeability value? So either you can vary the time or you can vary the hydraulic head. There should not be any change in the hydraulic coefficient, the coefficient of permeability value. So this is one of the simple experiment, very simple and quite easy. So usually instead of doing all these calculations, what people normally do is we always try to develop a correlation between the hydraulic gradient versus the specific discharge. Always try to draw this kind of a relationship. Draw a relationship between hydraulic head versus specific discharge. The slope of this obviously gives the coefficient of the permeability. The coefficient of permeability. So this is most reliable way of determining the permeability. Most reliable way of determining the permeability, because we are allowing the different hydraulic gradients. So as I told, the permeability is an intrinsic property of the soil sample. So this should not change when you change other properties. So the same thing reflect. Change the discharge, there is no change in the permeability. As you are changing the hydraulic gradient, there should not be any change in the permeability. So these are some review questions on the constant head permeability. So here usually where it has been shown in the previous slides, the permeability is lesser than 10 power minus 4 centimeter per second. Centimeter per second. So obviously in a given amount of time, it is practically impossible to collect. For example, let me show you. In this case, if the permeability is high, I can, in a small amount of time, I can able to calculate how much amount of water seeps through the soil. That is called as the volume of the water collected. Volume of the water collected. So, but in case of the fine grains, we may not get any amount of the volume of water seeping through the soil sample. So it may be few drops. And the constant head method, in 300 seconds, we got reasonably say 1 liter or 2 liter. But in case of the fine grain soils, in 300 seconds, you may get hardly a drop, or it may be less than a drop. And say in terms of the hours. Now, if you are allowing, or if you want to determine the amount of the volume that is trickling through the soil sample, by the time the last water molecule drops, the first water molecule gets evaporated. So that is a kind of a misleading. So therefore, it is impossible to determine the permeability by collecting the volume. So what we do is, instead we go in a reverse way. What is the decrease in water height? So in a given amount of time, So that variable head is recorded. How much time required to drop water level from H1 to H2, and remaining all parameters are known. I know the cross-sectional area of the standpipe. I know the cross-sectional area of the soil sample. I know how much is the time. I know the length of the soil sample. So as I know everything, so use the equation, that is K is equals to 0.3 into small al divided by the capital AT into log base 10 H2 by H1. H2 by H1. Now the H can be hours, can be days, it can be in minutes. But usually the variable head, the height is always in terms of the hours. So in case of the fine grained soils, nothing happens in minutes. So we have to wait for sufficiently long time for the water to permeate through the soil sample. So all the parameters are known, and this is the equation. So K is equals to 2.303, small a, cross-sectional area of the standpipe, L, length of the soil sample, capital A, cross-sectional area of the soil sample, T, time required to drop in height from H1 to H2, and log base 10 multiplied by H1 by H2, log of height. So this is some data. So here it has been shown the initial head is 1200, the final head is 550. So time required is 122 seconds. So although it has been shown for the convenience, but the time is sufficiently high. So nothing can happen. So within 122 seconds. So as I know the H1, H2 and time. So simply substitute in the previous equation and calculate the coefficient of permeability. So this is quite a simple experiment. So these are some review questions. So this is what all about the permeability. So if you have any questions, you are most welcome to ask me. So let me show the video. So first let me show the variable head, how the test will be conducted in the laboratory. So this is done by some TS. So this video talks about the constant and permeability test. So these are the apparatus required. So these are the permeability mold. So this is inlet or outlet. So these are the porous discs that are placed on either side, top and bottom of the soil sample. So this is the connection to the water tap. So this is a standard proctor for compaction of the soil sample. So this is wash bottle. So this is measuring cylinder for measuring the volume of the water that is seeping through. And this is sand soil. This is so take sample. So this is assembly of the permeability mold. So first put the porous disc, and these are the rings. So on top of the porous disc, put a filter paper. So this is a filter paper. So then insert the mold. Insert the so then insert the top plate. Oh, so this is the bottom plate. So this can securely hold the permeability mold. Secure it properly. So when you conduct any permeability test, the water should permeate only through inlet and outlet. It should not seep through any other parts of the soil sample. So therefore, tightening is a much essential step. So no water should seep through this gasket. So therefore, we need to tighten it as max as possible. So they are now adding the water to the soil sample. So make all the moisture is uniformly spread throughout the soil sample. So once sample is ready, so you can compact the same soil sample in the permeability mold. So you can imagine that when you conduct any permeability test, so this is extension of an compaction test. So before you go for the permeability, you must compact the soil sample. So that means it's a repetition of the standard Proctor test. So I don't need to explain about the standard Proctor because this experiment was already covered in one of the previous classes. So try to recapitulate the different steps that we were followed at the time of compaction. So they are now removing the color arrangement because the sample has been compacted slightly above the mold level. As we can see, so they are trimming excess soil. So trim off the excess soil. put one more porous disc on top of the soil sample. So insert the gasket so that it acts as impermeable or it doesn't allow the cross seepage. So put another filter paper on top of the soil sample. So insert the top cap. So now the soil sample is secured inside within the mold. Now there are two connections to this soil sample. One is at the top, next is at the bottom. So this is a reservoir arrangement, as you can see. So the head is maintained constant. So there should not be any change in the water level. Now connect the soil sample to the water reservoir. So this is air-like arrangement. So when water is permeating through the pores, so the water tries to occupy all the voids, but these voids are filled with the air. So unless you remove this air, the water cannot able to permeate. So you need to exercise a small mechanism of removal of the air. Then only water permeates through the soil sample. So as perhaps you might have noticed that the inlet is connected at the bottom, not at the top. So they're trying to collect the water that is permeating through the soil sample from the top location, not from the bottom location. So you need to wait for some time because the water has to fill all the voids within the soil sample. So that means the permeability can happen only when the soil sample is fully saturated. So you can see how the water is seeping through the soil sample. Tough time. So make sure that there is a steady flow. So fix a particular time and collect some volume of the soils, some volume of the water in that particular time. So thereby we know the volume of the water collected in a given time. So once I know the volume, once I know the time, then I can able to determine the discharge. So always try to collect a reasonable amount of water. You can make as many trials as possible.
Sir, but you told us, sir, we will use inlet at bottom, but we are using inlet at top and collecting output
Yeah,
from
yeah,
bottom.
yeah. This is a small mistake that they are doing it. Usually the inlet because if you connect from the bottom, it takes reasonable amount of time. So this is the kind of the table that you need to maintain. So these are the readings. So yeah, he's now trying to measure the head, the hydraulic head. So for 3 different elapsed times, we have taken outflow, and I know measure the water temperature and then calculate the permeability. So usually one has to maintain or make correction for temperature. So this is the small equation for temperature correction. So always represent the permeability at 27 degrees centigrade. That is the room temperature. So this is how one can able to determine the permeability. So this is all about the constant head method. So let me show you the falling head method. So this demonstrates conduction of falling head method. So almost similar setup, identical setup, only the soil sample is different in it. So I don't need difference in height during the experimentation. So the following head test is almost a repetition of the constant head. Only difference is there one can able to maintain the steady state flow condition in a short period of time. Completed. So therefore we have to record the difference in height for a given time. So this is the sample preparation. So both during the constant head and variable head, assembly of permeability is crucial. So try to notice, because water shall pass only through inlet and outlet. No other place is allowed to seep it. Most rule. So for the falling head method, one of the important steps is you need to saturate the soil sample. So here they are connecting the inlet and outlet for saturating the soil sample. Now saturation is most important step because so unless all the pores are interconnected with the water, so it cannot easily come out. So that's the problem. So therefore, and especially in case of the fine grained soils, so this is really difficult because of the less pore sizes. So prior to start up the falling head method, the sample has to be saturated. There are several ways of saturating the soil sample. So one of the ways is simply connect it to water reservoir and allow it for some time. Or another simple way of is apply the vacuum. Now as we have demonstrated previously how to conduct the constant head method. Now here we need to measure the decrease in height of the water level from H1 to H2. So in a given period of a time. So you need to record the initial height of the water level and the final height of the water level in a given period of time. This can be recorded as initial height. हेलो हाँ सर बोलिए हाँ बोलिए सर अच्छा अच्छा ओके 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 Yeah, that will run, no problem. No, no, only I will teach. Hmm. Yes, you need to remove his name. Yeah, they'll be as it is. So we must repeat at least for 3 records. The 3 things. Measure the diameter of the stamper and calculate its area. Table. So this is how the permeability is determined, and if the temperature is the difference between the temperature at which the experiment is conducted and room temperature, so then apply the temperature correction. So this completes the falling head. So if you have any questions, you are free to ask.
Sir, can you tell me once again why we need to means the inlet should be at the bottom?
See, what happens is when you connect inlet from the top, because of the gravity, the water always looks for the easy passage. The easy passage is always when there are two contrasting materials are the mold head, the wall of the mold, and the soil material. So wall of the mold is impermeable because that's made with the cast iron, while the soil is relatively permeable. So because of this contrast in material, it always tries to flows at the interface between the mold and the soil, and that becomes after some time the kind of a preferential flow. So preferential flow, in order to avoid this preferential flow, we should collect always the inlet from the bottom, systematically fills all the voids, then reaches the top, then flows out. You got it? Or any clarification is required?
Sir, this is also possible in reverse case, na sir, means from if we'll apply inlet to the bottom, then it may also happen.
No. See, if water is flowing from bottom to top, so first it has to fill all the voids now. It cannot catch up any, it is flowing against the gravity. From the bottom to top, it is flowing against the gravity. So when it is flowing against gravity, it can't follow any kind of a preferential flow. It cannot happen because this
Yes,
point has
okay,
been
sir.
proved. It cannot happen.
Yes, sir. Sir, the level of water should be same.
So any other questions?